Welcome to Book Nest, where books meet minds and stories shape futures. Today, we explore Jack Ma's journey from humble beginnings to the front of the classroom. This is Chapter 3, From Student to Teacher. Let's begin. Before Jack Ma was a billionaire, before Alibaba changed global commerce, there was just a boy, thin, awkward, full of questions, and eager to learn. This is the story of Jack Ma's formative years, a journey not just of education, but of transformation. A curious childhood. Jack Ma was born in 1964 in Hangzhou, a city known for its beauty and ancient culture, not its wealth. His early life was modest. His parents were traditional folk performers who earned very little, and the family lived in a cramped, shared household. The China of Jack's childhood was emerging from the chaos of the Cultural Revolution, and education had been one of the many casualties. For young Jack, schooling wasn't easy. He was small for his age, often got into fights, and, by his own admission, wasn't particularly smart at math. But what set Jack apart was his persistence and curiosity, especially when it came to one subject, English. Unlike most kids in his neighborhood, Jack wasn't learning English because it was fashionable or trendy. He was hungry to connect with the outside world. He would ride his bike to Hangzhou's hotel district, not to beg or cause trouble, but to offer free tours to foreign visitors. Why? Just to practice English. This was his real classroom, the hotel school. Every morning, for 9 years, Jack would pedal across the city to the Hangzhou hotel. He became a fixture there, the curious Chinese teen eager to speak with Americans, Europeans, anyone who could converse in English. He didn't charge for his time. The reward was exposure to accents, slang, worldviews, and friendships that no classroom could offer. In fact, one American family became so fond of him that they nicknamed him Jack, a name he kept for life. This exposure shaped his worldview. While most of his peers saw the West as mysterious or even threatening, Jack saw it as something to learn from. He wasn't dazzled by money or luxury, he was inspired by openness, ideas, and freedom of thought. But Jack wasn't just content talking to foreigners. He wanted credentials. So he decided to take the college entrance exam, the Gaokao, one of the toughest exams in the world. The exam that almost broke him. Jack failed the Gaokao. Not once, not twice, but twice before finally passing on his third try. His math score? Barely above passing. His English score? Off the charts. In a system that prized rote memorization and numerical ability, Jack was an anomaly. But he kept going. Eventually, he was accepted into the Hangzhou Teachers College, considered second tier at best. But to Jack, it was an opportunity. He studied English and quickly stood out for his enthusiasm and communication skills. Unlike his peers, Jack wasn't afraid to speak in front of a crowd. In fact, he thrived in it. His college years shaped his confidence and gave him a stage. Jack becomes a teacher. After graduation, Jack became a lecturer in English and International Trade at the Hangzhou Institute of Electronics and Engineering. By now, Jack Ma had become two things that didn't often mix in 1980s China. 1. A government employee. 2. A wildly energetic, expressive communicator. His classes were legendary. He jumped on desks, acted out lessons, made jokes, and treated his students like equals, not empty vessels to be filled with knowledge. He challenged the traditional education system by focusing on interaction over memorization. Jack wasn't just teaching English, he was teaching a mindset. But Jack wasn't content being confined to the classroom. The hustler spirit. Even as a teacher, Jack was always looking for ways to explore, connect, and, in small ways, do business. He once opened a translation agency with a friend, offering to help locals connect with foreigners. It didn't make much money, but it gave Jack a taste of entrepreneurship. He also began taking trips to other cities, even to the United States. On one such trip in 1995 to Seattle, Jack's life would change forever. There, for the first time, He used the internet. And the moment he typed beer into a search engine and found results from all over the world, but none from China, something clicked. He realized China was not yet online. And someone needed to change that. That seed would grow into Alibaba. But the roots were laid in his classroom days, where he learned how to engage, inspire, and lead. Lessons from the classroom. It's no coincidence that so many of Jack Ma's leadership skills were honed as a teacher. Public speaking, Jack's stage presence and confidence came from years in front of students. Storytelling. He learned to explain complex ideas in relatable ways, a skill vital for pitching investors. Empathy. Teaching helped him understand what people need to succeed, not just academically, but in life. Humility. He never claimed to be the smartest. He always said, "I'm not good at math. I failed many things. But I learn from people." This human-centered leadership style would later define Alibaba's company culture. Jack's philosophy of education. Jack once said, "If you want your kids to be successful, teach them emotional intelligence. If you want them to be leaders, teach them independent thinking and teamwork." This belief came directly from his years in the classroom. Where China's education system pushed obedience and memorization, Jack believed in curiosity, creativity, and communication. That mindset would later help Alibaba outmaneuver larger competitors, because Jack understood people, not just systems. The exit from teaching. By the late 1990s, Jack's desire to do something bigger was undeniable. He resigned from his teaching job, a secure and respected position in China. It wasn't an easy choice. In China at the time, a government job was considered the peak of stability. Leaving it for something vague like the internet seemed foolish, even reckless. But Jack Ma had a vision. He knew that the internet was the future and China needed to be part of that future. And more importantly, he believed he could be the bridge. His departure from teaching marked a bold step into the unknown, one filled with risk, uncertainty, and failure, but also the potential for greatness. From classroom to boardroom. By the end of Chapter 3, one thing becomes clear. Jack Ma's time as a student and teacher wasn't a detour on his path. It was the foundation. He learned how to lead by inspiring people, not commanding them. He learned how to build trust through communication, not force. And he understood that education, like entrepreneurship, is about solving real problems. This mindset would soon lead to the birth of China Pages, and eventually Alibaba. But that's a story for the next chapter. Jack Ma's chalkboard days might seem like a distant memory in the age of billion-dollar IPOs, but in truth, they're the bedrock of his legacy. Before he changed the world of business, he first changed the lives of students. And that, perhaps, is where all great leaders begin. Subscribe for the next chapter, Hope and Coming to America, as we dive into Jack's first big vision beyond China.